What's up, Renegade Nation? Before we begin the video, I want to give a shout out to our most recent Patreon supporters and YouTube members. Goliath Burrito, Forbidden Fan 12, Steven Stanton, Kent9 Dave 69, Saturn Coon, Fishcake, Nicholas A. Montgomery, Tatcap, Johann Stenfeld, Anthony, Russell Kanai Ueker, Luis A. Sandoval, Samaran 1, Shane Lindroth, Firefox 2590, Crispy Bacon, D, Evo, Jasmine Taylor Studley, Scav King, Zombie, Stinging Shadow, Cursing Throne 92, Jacobus 92, Owen, The One Who Crawls, Cesar Valentine, Joshua Suzik, Travis Tennant, Malik, JPC2, Jacob W, Alex Cole, Joshua Wire, Malik Black, Kiki, and as always I want to give a shout out to our executive producers Bevan Brummett and Vincenzo. Thank you all very much for your support. If you want to become a YouTube member, click the join button which is down by the subscribe button down below, and if you wish to become a Patreon supporter, click the link in the description to find out more. We'll see you there. Oh, I got a new tool. Wait, is this a... Oh my gosh, dude! I can melt through metal now. Yay! Any upgrades available? Hello, hello. You know what? I got a full minute of blowtorch. You've got red on you.
That's great.
Sorry, I'm colorblind. So, sorry. Hi everyone. Yeah, one thing we really wanted to be doing, where James is sort of on a zombie kick. I mean, he did the most recent night. He did like the Night of the Living Dead movies, you know, the original. And then he did Day of the Dead, and I think I saw he also did Dawn of the Dead as well, the original one. Not sure about the Zack Snyder one. I don't know if he's covered that one yet. But the one that Nick, especially Nick, was excited for, me, I was wanting to see it too, was the Train to Busan kill count.
It's the best zombie film that's been made since the Dawn of the Dead remake. Hands down. And they shot it in the face like so many zombies before. They copyright strike James's channel. James has more of an argument for fair use than we even do.
Oh yeah, by far. I mean,
everything he does is for like review and commentary and parody purposes.
And he's actually gone back to his...
all perfectly legitimate.
And here's the thing, he's gone back to his original videos. I think I saw him do a little short clip where he was talking about, previously it was the Friday the 13th, the first Friday the 13th, which I think was his first kill count. He was just like, God, I used to not talk about anything. I used to be like more strictly about the kills and not so much about the behind the scenes info or, you know, provide little tidbits. And, you know, going back and watching his originals, it's just like, yeah, he was more straightforward and to the point. And it shows you how people, you know, how his channel has evolved over time. And you'd figure that given everything that he's done and everything that he does do with his videos, it would more than be covered by fair use. But you know how it is over in foreign, you know, in other countries. Hell, dude, some countries in Europe don't like their stuff being used for fair use. I mean, that happens all the time. I mean, it's unfortunate. But yeah, Shaun of the Dead, the Brits seem to be okay with it. I mean, he's got several British films on his docket, and even Canada. Canada seems to be all right with it. But I gotta be honest, dude, I love Shaun of the Dead. It was like one of my first like comedy films that I watched as an adult. I was 15 or 16 at the time, and I found it funny then, but as I've gotten older, I've only found more and more comedy with it.
I'm kind of the opposite.
Really?
Like, the first time I saw it, I was like, it's pretty funny, and then I've watched it again like twice since then, and it's just, I don't it's okay. It's not quite as entertaining as I originally thought it was.
For me, dude, it's just the little details that, to me, upon seeing again, upon a rewatch, I'm just like, I get it now. That is so cool. And in all honesty, it gives me a whole new level of appreciation for Edgar Wright, because the dude is a literal genius. I mean, he's already a great filmmaker, but the nuances and the level of detail that he puts into his films, it's like Hot Fuzz. Dude, I can keep going back to Hot Fuzz, and after the 10th watch...
I think Hot Fuzz is funnier than...
Oh, I think so, too. I think it has more gravitas to it, whereas this is pretty straightforward. This is pretty straightforward for the most part in terms of the story, but in terms of the stuff going on in the behind the scenes and everything, it's actually... honestly, as I've gotten older, and as I've become more aware of filmmaking and script writing and everything, it's actually just provided me with just such a treasure trove of how to hide things and how to do things. And
I did learn an interesting fact regarding this today because I was watching 25 Things You Probably Never Knew About Resident Evil. Mm-hmm. And one of them was that he was playing Resident Evil 2 in an episode of a show that he was in before making this movie. And apparently, like, this movie was kind of inspired to an extent by his playing Resident Evil 2.
Well, I mean, that doesn't surprise me. I mean, Edgar Wright whenever he gets on a project, he absorbs everything there is about media.
Is Edgar Wright also the lead actor, or is that a different guy?
No, that's Simon Pegg.
Simon Pegg is who I think we were talking about, because that's who it looked like was in that show.
Pegg co-wrote it with Wright.
Yeah.
Also, I forgot. Hold on 1 second. Let me turn off the autofocus thing on the camera, because it's doing that stupid thing again. Hey, just a second.
They go in and out of focus whenever we move.
Yeah, it's one of those weird things. I did that for the show because I knew that would be a thing. Alright, let's see. Focus mode. Manual focus. There we go. Let me get you in focus. Alright, get there in focus. Alright, we're good. Okay. Now you aren't going in and out of focus. Sorry about that, everyone. I had to use the camera to record a show over the weekend. Pretty fun, a little exhausting, and also a little. I hurt my knee a little bit. It's okay though. It happens. So, Shaun of the Dead kill count 2004. Let's get this up on screen. Let's have a watch. Here we go.
Welcome to the Kill Count, where we tally up the victims in all our favorite horror movies. I'm James A. Janice, and
Hi,
today
James.
we're looking at Shaun of the Dead, a British zombie comedy released in 2004. I figured since I just schooled y'all on the origins of the modern zombie by covering Night of the Living Dead, we could take a look at one of the funniest takes on the subgenre. A story about two man-children so driftless in life, they don't even notice when the zombie apocalypse begins. Starring Simon Pegg as the titular Shaun, and Nick Frost as his layabout stoner best friend, Shaun of the Dead was co-written by Pegg and director Edgar Wright. This was Wright's first movie outside of a low-budget 90s western parody, and it showcases the style he'd become known for in his subsequent work. Most notably, fast-paced camera work and kinetic editing, both of which primarily serve as a vehicle for comedy. Shaun of the Dead is sometimes called a horror movie parody, but I don't think that's accurate, nor what the filmmakers intended.
Well, we never wanted to make the film into a spoof. We didn't want it to be a Mickey take or in any way irreverent.
I would simply classify it as a zombie comedy. It's not doing any satire that wasn't already in Dawn or Day of the Dead, and although it's hilarious, it's also got dramatic moments and sentimental character beats. It all adds up to make Shaun of the Dead a classic, a funny, heartfelt tribute to George Romero that can be enjoyed by horror fans and genre newbies alike. Usual kill count caveat when it comes to horror comedies. This movie's very funny, with a lot of running and recurring jokes. I can't include them all on the kill count. Go watch the movie. I promise you'll be chuffed to bits. One last thing before we get started. This movie is considered the first of the so-called Three Flavors Cornetto trilogy, named after the ice cream referenced in each film.
Do you want anything from the shop? Cornetto.
The quote-unquote sequels are two stylistically similar films, Hot Fuzz and The World's End, both made by the same filmmakers, Wright, Pegg, and producer Nyra Park. I will not be covering those other two movies, however, since they are a comedy action and comedy sci-fi film respectively. I'm just here for the horror, y'all. And yeah, I know, Mortal Kombat. Bugger off, it's my show. And on my show, I make jokes, give production info, and count bodies. That's a lot to get done, so let's get to the kills.
Here we go.
The movie begins with some Dawn of the Dead music that I'm too afraid to play for you because of copyright. A quick fun opening credits sequence shows us soon-to-be British zombies already acting like the undead, snoozing through life and shambling their way up to that title card. 29-year-old Shaun is in a fucking rut, and it's starting to wear on his girlfriend of 3 years, Liz, played by Kate Ashfield. All he ever does with her is go to this pub, the Winchester, and his best friend Ed is always around, preventing any privacy.
It'd be nice if we could. Fuck. Spend a bit more time together.
Ed has a sort of codependency with Shaun, which is a source of constant annoyance for their third flatmate Pete, played by always a highlight comedic character Peter Serafinowicz. Pete's pissed like a pickled pepper, because Ed still acts like they're in college. But Shaun can't help but love his juvenile friend and his smelly fox.
Oh!
Safety.
I'll stop doing them when you start laughing.
I am not laughing. Shaun takes a morning walk through his lovely-looking neighborhood, which was filmed in North London, around Crouch End. He passes a radio and hears about a satellite returning to Earth, a reference to Night of the Living Dead, where the undead rose due to similar circumstances. This movie's got a ton of references to Romero's work and some other horror films, but I won't be able to point them all out in this kill count. If this episode does well, maybe I'll make a separate video going through them all. Chelsea can join me. It'll be fun. At work, where Shaun is an electronics salesman, he's disrespected by his peers, especially 17-year-old Noel, played by Rafe Spall, who was the villain in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. Nice glow up, Rod. Shaun.
Also, Rafe Spall has one of the only American accents that's ever fooled me. I saw him in The Big Short, and I was like, wait, really? Holy shit. Damn, he got me.
He's also got a terse relationship with his stepdad, Philip, who wants him to be a better son to his mother, Barbara.
Perhaps you could bring the flowers you forgot to bring Barbara on Mother's Day.
I was gonna.
And not a cheap posy from a garage forecourt.
I wasn't gonna.
Because of his personal and familial distractions, Shaun fails to notice a few hints that society might be headed for disaster. I won't count random fainting lady here as dead, but I will count this dude with his head immobile on his steering wheel. Seems pretty dead back there. Shaun mucks up an anniversary date night by suggesting he and Liz go to the Winchester. It's the last straw for her after a string of disappointments.
You promised you'd stop smoking when I did. You promised you'd go back to the gym. You promised you'd try drinking red wine instead of beer.
It doesn't help that Shaun doesn't get along with her flatmates David and Diane either, both played by British comedic series actors, and Dylan Moran, who co-created and starred in Black Books, and Lucy Davis, who played Dawn, aka the Pam Beesly role in the original The Office. She's also Hilda and Sabrina. Liz doesn't want to feel held back by Shaun anymore, so she breaks up with him and sends him shuffling home beneath a symbolic spot of rain. Shaun finds drunken solace in his best friend Ed and his A1 orangutan impersonation. At the Winchester, named after Ben's rifle at night by the way, they admire their fellow barflies in the film's only scene with improvisation. The rest of the comedy was tightly scripted to match Edgar Wright's precise filmmaking style.
Coccicidal maniac.
I don't care what Ed tries to invent for pub owner John. Nothing's gonna be as wild as actor Steve Emerson being that middle-aged greaser in the acid trip adventure Bloody New Year. That was one of my favorite kill counts, by the way. Check it out. They leave the pub late, completely pissed.
I don't think I've ever even heard of that movie.
Me neither. Might want to give that a watch, because I'm down for some trippy shit. I still need to watch Mandy. The Nicolas Cage one?
Yeah.
I still need to watch that.
noticing a meltdown take place next to that TARDIS. A necking couple Shaun had noticed earlier, now a neck-eating lady chomping away at her man. They get back to their flat for some fuckadoodle buffoonery, and it's scenes like this where the real-life friendship of Peg and Frost pays off. They really were flatmates for a number of years, and Frost admits he was a lazy guy during most of that time. Since Frost was a pretty inexperienced actor, production company working title wanted someone else in the role. Peg and Wright insisted on keeping their friend, which was not only good for the movie, but also good for their morale on set. A lot of the behind-the-scenes footage feels like good friends fucking around. Their hijinks aren't appreciated by flatmate Pete, though, and he yells at Shaun for his Ed-assisted Arrested Development.
Sort your fucking life out, mate!
Sup your head, man.
Pete says he was bitten by crackhead muggers on his way home, but it'll surely be just fine after he gets a little more rest. The next morning, a hungover Shaun goes on his morning walk, not noticing that society has seemingly collapsed overnight. I love these long one-takes. Both this shot and the pre-zombie one is mirroring. They're so smooth and detailed, and in contrast to each other, hilarious. The walk gives us one more kill as well, when Shaun passes a dude dead in his front yard, or whatever British people call front yards. At home, Shaun remains oblivious despite some coded channel flipping.
As an increasing number of reports of
Serious attacks on
people who are literally being
Eaten alive.
He and Ed find a woman wanted.
The news report thing got me. It's just, I loved it. Panic in the streets of London.
Yeah.
I loved it. So good.
Bring around in their garden a cashier named Mary who was seen in the opening credits. They mistake her as belligerently drunk and treat it as a big laugh until a Shaun jump knocks Mary over and gets her impaled through the back. True to the film's goals of keeping its horror elements horrific, there are some solid effects worked throughout, much of it practical, with some nice CG augmentation when needed. Mary's ability to stand with a see-through abdomen is enough to finally make these deadbeats realize something's wrong. Also a pretty big clue, the fact that a one-armed zombie just walked into their living room. He moans at them until Ed smashes an ashtray over his head, which kills him. Because, as the news reports, head trauma is key to stopping these ghouls.
The attackers can be stopped by removing the head or destroying the brain.
This line, of
I
course,
repeat.
is lifted nearly verbatim from Night of the Living Dead.
A ghoul can be killed by a shot in the head or a heavy blow to the skull.
The best friends decide to take care of Mary and another big boy zombie who's joined her in the garden. They attack them with household items, some albums, but not others.
Purple Rain. Some of the time. Definitely not.
That's a pretty classic scene, at least.
Finally,
That's a pretty classic scene, at least.
Well, dude, this
Trying to
scene,
decide which records they try to throw at them first because they go so slow.
Purple Rain, definitely not. Sign of the Times, definitely not. Batman soundtrack, throw it. And I agree, the Batman soundtrack is a hot mess of a friggin' album. It's like, Sade, that's Liz's. She did dump you. I love it. Again, Simon Pegg is a fucking genius. I love the guy. And him and Frost play so well off each other. If you ever have a chance, have you seen Cuban Fury?
Mm-mm.
Oh my gosh. It's Nick Frost. It's like his big role that he had on his own after he wanted to do his own thing, and it's got an awesome cameo in it from Simon Pegg.
most sensibly, a shovel and a cricket bat. Wright and Pegg thought it would be interesting to see a zombie problem in suburban London rather than the US, with guns not nearly as available to the populace. Thus, these weapons, which still net the boys 2 zombie kills when they beat the backlot loiterers to death. Takes them quite a while, but they keep at it until it's done. The man on their telly says to watch out for bite victims, causing them concern about their flatmate Pete. And he's not the only one they know who's been bit, as Shaun learns on a phone call with his mum Barbara.
Mum, have you been bitten?
I got that one part where they stare at each other and they're just both go. They were supposed to go, Pete, like at the same time. They couldn't stare at each other long enough and not crack up. Every take they did, they cracked up, and instead, Edgar Wright had the bright idea to cut to Shaun yelling up the stairs. They were both just like, because they got the inhale right, but then all of a sudden it just goes, Pete. Pete! Oi, prick! He's not in.
Ellie Paz.
Oh, okay.
Knowing the danger Philip now potentially presents, they say they're coming over. No ifs, ands, or buts.
We're coming to get you, Barbara!
And in case you were ignorant of that reference, it's one of the most memorable lines from Night.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
I remember it.
Seeing
that was so good.
Visualized in Edgar Wright's snazzy style. After a few revisions, he inevitably lands on a rescue mission that ends with them safe at his favorite pub.
Grab Liz, go to the Winchester, have a nice cold pint, and wait for all this to blow over.
Before they leave, Shaun has a wee and finds a zombified Peter in their shower. He died at some point, and since he was an established character, I'll count his zombie appearance as a kill. Shaun and Ed flee their tall, naked zombie flatmate and all the other undead ghouls outside trying to get him. And they are, in fact, the living dead, as the radio confirms. The first part of their master plan is picking up Shaun's mum Barbara, a delightful woman with a delightful nickname for her son.
Hello, Pickle.
The role of Barbara was originally offered to Helen Mirren, but I'm glad it ended up being Penelope Wilton. She's great. Shaun finds his stepdad Phil looking pretty ill, but just as alive and as surly as ever. Bill Nighy's another great addition to this cast. I love how Philip is constantly disappointed in Shaun, but there's a layer of sympathy beneath it all. On their way out, Philip gets bitten once more, forcing him to hand over the keys to his beloved Jaguar, which Ed insists on driving recklessly. He speeds them on over to Liz's place and drops Shaun off to get his axe. Just a note, I won't be counting zombie head blacks like these. They aren't brain destroying, as far as I can tell. Shaun climbs through Liz's
third one
window
seemed to be pretty bad.
She's safe inside. He shows off the new Shaun by saying he's here to rescue them and tells her and her flatmates how to survive outside.
If you get cornered, bash him in the head. That seems to work out.
Although David's a pissy boy who poo-poos the plan, the ladies are persuaded, and so out they go, bashing many a zombie head along the way. They cram into Philip's car, where Barbara and Liz meet for the first time, and Ed takes off like a jag out of hell. During the drive to the Winchester, a dying Philip laments to Shaun that it's not easy being a father, and that he always loved him as his own real son. It's an emotional moment, deftly played straight by Nighy and Peg, and shows that this movie isn't content with only getting us to laugh. After his apology, Philip turns into a zombie, scaring everyone out of the car before he can successfully bite any of them. Surrounded by zombies, and this one background body I'll count lying beneath this car, Shaun insists that they continue to the Winchester on foot, since Philip's no longer allowing them to use the Jaguar. On their way, they see zombies eating the corpse of Snake Hips, a guy from the Winchester who reminds me of Rockabilly Jim from the Great Pottery Throwdown. I like how Ed had mentioned Snake Hips was always surrounded by women, a fact that remains true even in death. As Liz is telling Shaun that they're still broken up, their group runs into Shaun's friend Yvonne, leading her own band of survivors. Yvonne was shown in an earlier scene and is played by Jessica Stevenson, who co-created, co-wrote, and co-starred in the British sitcom Spaced alongside Simon Pegg. Spaced, which featured Nick Frost in his first ever acting gig, was also directed by Edgar Wright, and an episode titled Art actually led to Shaun of the Dead. In it, Pegg's character hallucinates a zombie fight thanks to Resident
that's
Evil.
what I heard about earlier.
Bingo!
Yep.
Right on the money, dude. When you said that, I was just like, I wonder if they're going to bring up Spaced in this. And they did, and I'm so fucking happy. Because Spaced is such a great show. It didn't last as long as I hoped it would.
Yeah, I'd never heard of it, honestly.
Dude, it's great. It's great. It's surreal. Like, I don't really know how to explain it because it's just out there. I can't do it justice. I really can't.
After shooting that sequence, Edgar and I were like, it'd be great if we could make a zombie film, wouldn't it? Like our own zombie film. It could be like about just us, you know, like what would happen if it happened to us. And that's how it was born.
Pegg and Wright spent years writing and developing the script for Shaun, trying to make the Rosencrantz and Guildenstern.
Why does that look like Bobby Hill?
Even after all that prep work.
Why did that drawing look like Bobby Hill?
I think that's him. I think that's supposed to be Shaun. I don't know why.
Rosencrantz and Guildenstern and Dawn of the Dead.
Maybe that's how. You know, now that I look at it, Simon Pegg does kind of look like an adult Bobby Hill. With the hair and the face.
I guess.
Damn it. I can't unsee it now.
Ed's Hamlet. Even after all that prep work, though, their film crew was initially skeptical of the film's prospects.
One of the zombies in makeup came up to me, thinking that I was a runner, and just looked over at me and went, straight to video for this one.
Ivan's band of followers includes Martin Freeman, then known from The Office, where he played Tim, the British version's equivalent to Jim Halpert. In fact, Ivan's entire group is...
He's in like other stuff I've seen recently too. I can't remember what the. Oh yeah,
Yeah, it's Bilbo.
Derp. Yeah.
He's also been in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Martin Freeman, he's in Sherlock as well. He plays Watson. I mean, I love Martin Freeman, dude. He's one of my favorite British actors.
Played by recognizable British comedic actors, but the only one I know is Matt Lucas in the back there. He was in Bridesmaids and a co-presenter of Great British Bake Off. The two friends wish each other luck and leave in opposite directions, giving us a funny sight gag when we see that their groups are doppelgangers of each other. While hopping garden fences, Shaun's crew passes a house with a dead body inside. There's also a zombie inside, which distracts Barbara and gets her left behind. Shaun finds her on the ground and then fights with the zombie in PJs, and with some direction from the ladies, pins the fellow to a tree.
Feel free to step in any time.
You alright?
I don't want to crap your stomach.
Their path to the Winchester is obstructed by a zombie block party, which triggers another Winchfest from Harry Potter David. His moaning gives them the idea to get past the horde by pretending to be part of it. They're prepped for their performance by Diane, who it had been mentioned earlier was an out-of-work actor. With varying commitment, they put on their show, and these thespians do well enough to pass through the swarm of zombies, most of whom were played by fans of Spaced who did this background work for a single £1. They get to the Winchester and find it locked, and when Ed breaks zombie character to answer his phone, it's enough to finally set Shaun off.
I spent an entire life, look at me, I spent my entire life sticking my neck out for you, and all you ever do is fuck things up. Fuck things up and make me look stupid. Well, I'm not going to let you do it anymore. Not today!
The argument brings them sedative.
About that.
So David panic riots and throws a trash can through the window. Not wanting the zombies to follow them into the pub, Shaun elects to lead the undead on a distracting zombie run, allowing the others to get inside and await his return. David's quick to assume that Shaun is dead and feebly asserts himself as replacement leader. As he's lambasting the larders of the Winchester, though, Shaun reappears just in time for snacks and bromance.
Well, I wasn't the one who was blowing our cover by having a tiff with my boyfriend. He's not my boyfriend.
Might get a bit warm, the cooler's off.
Thanks, babe.
The leader once more, Shaun flips the circuits to get the TV working and discovers an undead danger waiting for them outside. The zombie horde that chased him, having followed him.
I did like that scene a lot. Just like,
if I see
well,
it,
never mind then.
if I see it, it doesn't exist. If I see it, it doesn't exist. I love it.
He makes noise with a video game. It brings attention to their front entrance too. Homeowner John shows up as a zombie, as does his wife Bernie a moment later in the back. David's able to lock Bernie away from them for now, but John's a problem they'll have to deal with. And thanks to a jukebox that kicks on with the power, this zombie fight will be performed to Queen's Don't Stop Me Now. This is another classic scene,
don't stop me,
rhythmically
don't stop me.
choreographed. The actors wore earbuds while filming to stay in time with the two, which is of course one of the most upbeat and optimistic songs you could think of.
We just thought it'd be hilariously funny to beat an old man to death to it.
Edgar Wright wrote the song into the sequence without even knowing if he'd be able to use it. A quote begging letter to guitarist Brian May got them permission, which honestly worked out for everyone involved. As beloved as it is now, Don't Stop Me Now wasn't always a well-known Queen song. Its inclusion in this film has been credited with bringing renewed attention to it. I've also got to point out that Steve Emerson, who we already knew was a stunt performer, encouraged the cast to wail on him even though he was 70 years old. Gotta love that. The lengthy sequence finally ends when Shaun kills Zombie John by shoving his head into the jukebox machine. Although he has a dart in his head now, courtesy of a big miss from Diane, Shaun also has a gun, the pub's namesake Winchester. And even if he's not experienced with it, Ed's here to help him avoid getting pedantic internet comments.
You know, we've only got 29 bullets. Come on, Shaun.
The zombies start to break through, and Shaun tries to shoot them back with some group assistance. He's not a very good shot. His only kill is one zombie lady he gets with a headshot. It earns them a lull, during which Shaun learns a horrible secret. His mom Barbara's been bitten on the wrist by that zombie in pajamas back when they were hopping fences. Shaun cries over the tragic fate knocking at her door, while she handles things in a much more stereotypically British way.
It's been a funny sort of day, hasn't it?
Barbara dies of a zombie bite on the floor of the Winchester, and her death causes an immediate conflict. David wants to dispose of her soon-to-be undead corpse right away, but Shaun's not exactly a fan of the idea, and it leads to a multi-way standoff. Shaun asserts that David hates him because David's in love with Liz, and although he denies it, his girlfriend Diane says she knows it's true.
I've come to terms with that, Daz. Why can't you?
Liz shuts down the drama by telling everyone to get a hold of themselves, calming Shaun down just in time to confront his zombie mom. Oh man, that's a good way to ruin your favorite watering hole, having to shoot your zombie mom in the head in it. David makes a remark, Shaun punches him like he were Harry Cooper, and David actually tries to shoot Shaun with the gun. Like, holy shit, he pulled the trigger. It just wasn't loaded.
Right. I'm leaving.
Yeah, dude. No way you're coming back from that. Also, no way you're coming back from
hitting the ass on the way out.
Through the windows and pulling you outside, a la Barbara from the OG Night of the Living Dead. But David's death visually is more reminiscent of Captain Rhodes in Day of the Dead, as he's torn apart by zombies in a horrifically gory way. Oh, and then his legs are ripped off? This gory death is the best showcase of makeup artist Stuart Conrad's work. He filled a fiberglass body with a bunch of fake guts and had Dylan Moran wear it with his real head and arms sticking out. To ensure it came apart correctly, the zombie extras tearing him apart were played by crew members from the prosthetics department. Diane is upset about her boyfriend's death.
That's a good idea.
She runs outside brandishing his leg as a weapon. I won't be
Have the zombies be dudes that know how it's supposed to work.
Well, yeah, it's a great idea. It's a great idea to like get the people who know. Well, it's just like Tom Savini. You know, when in the first Friday the 13th movie, when Miss Moore's head gets cut off, Tom Savini basically, you know, he wore the prosthetic head on top of him, on top of his shoulders, and basically he told the stunt woman who did the swinging, you know, where exactly to swing, and he basically brought his hands up. If you notice, whenever she brings her hands up to like about her head being gone, they're a big hairy Italian man's hands.
Oh.
That's the funny thing about that whole scene. And after he said that in the commentary video, I was just like, I can't unsee it now. I can't unsee it. I just like Mrs. Moore had big, sweaty Italian hairy Italian man hands. But yeah, Shaun of the Dead.
Friend's death, so she runs outside brandishing his leg as a weapon. I won't be counting Diana's death. It's not definitively depicted on screen, and a comic made by Peg and Wright show her surviving the situation by climbing up a tree and napping through the night.
I'm now living in Birmingham with my aunt and remain in Christmas card contact with Shaun and Liz.
Zombies swarm into the building, threatening to overrun our 3 remaining survivors. Shaun kills one zombie by shooting her in the head, but that's all he manages to do before they see a familiar naked zombie. And successfully puts zombie Pete in a headlock, but the undead flatmate bites his arm, while zombie Bernie returns to nom on his shoulder. Shaun watches, utterly horrified, but does get some revenge when he shoots zombie Pete in the head, killing him. Shaun, Liz, and a very injured Ed make their way behind the bar, then light it ablaze to keep the zombies at bay. They realize their only way out is the cellar below them, and as they descend, their box of shells explode in the fire, killing 3 zombies with ricochets that turn into headshots. Down in the cellar,
I find it hilarious that the gun, the shells firing off at random and hitting and ricocheting killed more zombies than Shaun. Shaun only killed 2. Shaun only killed 2.
He shot the one coming through the window.
And then he
shot his mom, and he shot Pete.
He killed 3. He killed
so
Pete.
it killed as many as he killed.
Oh, no, actually, no, he killed 4. I'm wrong. I'm wrong. He killed the one coming through the window, he killed his mom, he killed the one that came in through the front door, and then he killed Pete. So he killed 4. Yeah. It's just amazing to me that the ricochets killed 3 when they had 29 bullets altogether. Yeah. Column shells. Sorry.
Cellar, the trio finds themselves trapped, leading to an overwhelming sense of hopelessness. With only 2 shells left, they begin making plans of suicide. It's done in a way that's both hilarious and depressing, and is the most in love that Shaun and Liz have seemed in the movie. Thankfully, by the light of a flame, for one final shared cigarette, they discover a keg lift that'll lead them to freedom outside. Ed decides that he'll stay back, not wanting to slow down the lovebirds, and the 2 friends have a heart-to-heart, wherein Shaun apologizes for yelling at him earlier, injured, and Ed apologizes for farting.
Oh, God. That's not funny. Stop doing them when you stop laughing. I'm not laughing.
Oh man, that is so sad and sweet. Shaun tells Ed he loves him as he and Liz ascend on the lift, popping out onto the street where there are still lots of zombies to deal with. Good thing the army shows up and starts mowing them all down, running over 5 of them, giving another a door prize, shooting frickin' 18 of them down with their rifles, and hell, I'll even include these last 2 they thwack in the head, cause they did it with force. Yvonne is here too, and she helps Shaun and Liz get to safety. They've survived the zombie apocalypse. And that's enough for them to give their relationship another go. 6 months later, life is mostly back to normal, with zombies being turned into entertainment. I won't be counting Zeds we see killed in these shows though. Give me a break. I've earned it. I will count Joel, since he was a previously established character, now confirmed as dead. Lots of fun quick bits here showing how society has adapted to zombies. They're used in game shows and are the subjects of benefit concerts put on by Coldplay. Nice that someone's looking out for the undead, even if they're festive.
Oh gosh, that mental image just still gives me such joy. I can just see like a little montage playing up on like the big screen behind him. It's like, when you try your best but you don't succeed. Oh.
Blistering skin is all yellow. As for our hero, he lives comfortably with Liz, though she's not the only loved one in his life. Turns out he's keeping zombie Ed as a garden shed friend, chained up in front of a TV so they can still play games together. And that's nice. Did Shaun of the Dead's focus on comedy detract from its body count? I don't think it did, but let's go make sure at the numbers.
Also, I wish James would have mentioned it when Pete was yelling at Ed. He's like, "You want to live like an animal? Go live in the shed!" And at the end, Ed is literally an animal living in the shed.
Pretty much.
By my count, there were 51 kills in Shaun of the Dead. 10 were living men, 3 were living ladies, 27 were zombie men, 10 were zombie ladies, and that one corpse under the car, well, I just couldn't tell.
Determined.
Pretty messy, but makes for a fun-looking pie chart, right? With a runtime of 99 minutes, that left us with a kill on average just under every 2 minutes. I'll give the golden chainsaw for coolest kill to David, torn apart by zombies. It's so graphic, I can't even show it all in the public version of this video. Dol Machete for lamest kill will go to the first victim I counted, the background body in the car. And introduced last episode, I'll give the coolest corpse award for best zombie to Ed. Usually, when a main character gets zombified, it's a tragedy. With Ed, it's almost an improvement. It's a sweet ending, solidifying his and Shaun's friendship, and like a lot of this movie, is foreshadowed in dialogue earlier on.
Oh!
You live like an animal, go live in a shed!
And that's
He did talk about it!
Yeah.
Damn! I was worried, I was like, because that was one of the best, like, foreshadowing moments.
Shaun of the Dead came out in 2004, and George Romero liked it so much, he cast Sean Pegg and Edgar Wright as zombies the following year, when he made Land of the Dead. On Friday, we'll look at the Romero flick whose title was
didn't realize that.
Dawn of the Dead. Until then, I'm James A. Janice. This has been The Kill Count.
On the next Kill Count.
Attention all dead meat viewers.
God.
We've got a great deal for you this Friday. One zombie classic, extra Blueface. Don't miss this special offer.
What?
For one view, you can experience living in the mall during a zombie apocalypse. Come early and receive one free
Tom Savini.
Tom Savini. You'd have to be dead to pass up this deal. And even then, come by anyway. You'll still have fun. While you're here, enjoy the food court and the world-famous blood pressure testing machine. It's to die for. Prepare your shopping list by watching the original Dawn of the Dead, directed by George Romero. And this Friday, watch The Kill Count on Dead Meat.
When there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk here.
Dawn of the Dead can sadly only be watched.
I used that line on one of my songs with Alter Grave.
You watch the movie for yourself before it's Kill Count. It's the only way to have your own properly informed opinion. Kill Count.
It's actually the only song we have recorded and put out.
Say what?
in Casket Slam.
That's
I used that line. Yeah.
Nice.
So, hang on. I'll find it really fast. Since I have the copyright for this song, YouTube can't be angry at us for me playing it.
This is true. That is, unless it's just like, well, the melody's too similar, so we're gonna share the revenue. It's like,
Similar to what? You stole it from me if you did. I wrote this fucking song.
That's Nick. Yeah, that's Nick. Jesus. Still blown away in certain regards that I'm roommates, and also he's the editor on the channel. That is a pretty badass metal singer. I mean, you should watch him live, guys.
It wasn't that hard.
For you,
I mean, I guess technically I practiced for like 7, 8, 9. However fucking long I've been practicing it for, but still.
Dude, I can't do that. There's a lot of people dude, you've seen the Jared Dines video. It's just like, give me a metal scream. And you have a bunch of people out there who are just like...
Yeah, people just like...
And then he comes across...
Then you have like 1 or 2 people that he's like, give me your best metal scream, and he's just like...
Okay, bro, how long have you been doing metal vocals?
A while.
That's exactly... Well, just like, I've been doing it for about 10 years now.
Yeah.
I'd love it if Jared Dines came across you on the street and you gave him one of your high flailing screams. Woo! I guarantee you, he'd just be like, dude, you want a job?
Doubt it.
It's like, you can edit for me and sing metal vocals for me and some of my things. Leave that Nathan Hamilton guy behind, you know. Okay. But yeah, that was Dead Meat, Shaun of the Dead, and yeah, man, just all the references, all the bit jokes that I didn't notice when I was younger, and the older I got. To me, it was there. I know it. In my personal opinion, the Three Flavors Cornetto trilogy, you know, this, Hot Fuzz, and World's End. I gotta say, the funniest, Hot Fuzz. This is second. World's End is third.
I never watched World's End.
It's good. It's actually pretty damn good. But I gotta be honest, man. I don't know. Just parts of it feel like it. I don't know. You know when things sit too long and it just you kind of see it coming. That's what happened with me. There were things in it I was just like, oh, so this has happened. Oh, look, what I thought had happened, it just in fact happened. So, yeah. But I can still appreciate the film. I loved it. But anyway, this was a good kill count. I like this one. This, it's... I really wish I really hope Train to Busan will be able to be seen again. I hope. I really do hope. But... odds point to not likely because of again, it's sad, dude. It's super sad. I hate it. Anyway, I think that's gonna do it. This was Shaun of the Dead Kill Count by Dead Meat. If you want to see more by Dead Meat, click the name and the title of the video. If you want to see more from us, feel free to leave a like. Feel free to subscribe. And as always, until next time, I'm Nate.
I am Nick.
See you then, everybody. Peace out. You've got red on you.